Hello guys, hope you're doing well. So I'm gonna go through this guide real quick. After the end of this video, you will be able to understand what is the difference between a virtual assistant and a PPC manager, and how to be a top PPC manager and provide value to your clients and bring in tangible results with the Amazon advertising strategies. So this will differentiate you between a virtual assistant and Amazon PPC. That is the only goal of this guide, and that is how you can charge more clients. So let's start with this: why most PPC managers fail. Most PPC managers fail, and this is a bit of my introduction. I have a team of a few people, and then there are a few other things. But the main issue is they think PPC management means lowering bid with ACoS is high, adding negative keywords, randomly running auto campaigns, and calling it strategy. All of this is possible. All of this could be correct at a certain given time, but this cannot be the case all the time. So this is not management, this is a virtual assistant task. Real PPC management is data mastery and strategic thinking, no bid adjustment based on surface level metrics. So who is this guide for? If you're a new Amazon PPC manager, freelancer, or job seeker who want to rise above the button pusher and become a true strategist, this guide will change how you approach Amazon PPC forever. The fundamental in this guide are the exact foundation we use to train our interns, and the way we train our interns is I'll discuss this down the road. So the VA mindset versus the Amazon PPC manager mindset. So VA surface level metric obsession. ACoS is 40%. Let me lower the bid. It's very simple. The understanding of most of the PPC guys in the industry is very on the it's just on the surface level. CTR is low, let me pause this keyword. CPC is high, competition must be high. Random negative keyword targeting, auto campaign is not a strategy, it's a campaign run by Amazon. So you got to give more budget to manual campaigns, and you can only give more budget to manual campaigns if you have some system in place, if you know what the funnel is, if you know what keywords to target and how to optimize them. So now this is really important. The problem is these metrics are symptoms, not causes. Our VA sees high ACoS and reacts. They don't ask why the ACoS is high. Is high ACoS actually profitable if it's ranking us organically? What's the search intent behind these clicks? If the ACoS is high, it does not mean that your account is going down. It is, there could be various other things. You need to figure out why your ACoS is high, and if your ACoS is high for a certain keyword that you wanted to plan, that you maybe want to rank on it for a longer period of time, you keep the ACoS high, and that is the only way to sort of rank your keyword. But if you're reactive about PPC, that is not how it will work. Now this little example here is basically an understanding of your PPC with the SEO. If your PPC is not complementing your SEO, your PPC will not perform at 100%. What that means is you have to have those keywords into your listing for which you wanted to rank on. If you're not doing it, you will be seeing higher CPCs because your competitors are doing it for a longer period of time. That is another reason for you for your higher CPCs. So make sure you've got the keywords in the listing. Now let's discuss the VA mindset versus the PPC manager part 2, the PPC manager mindset. So what we do in the very first 3 months that we train the internee, nobody works on the accounts at all. We just give them all sort of data. We make them analyze all sort of data sheet, use Excel, Google Sheet, VLOOKUP, pivot tables, and conditional formatting. Connect the data points and understand what the data is saying. You just cannot launch PPC campaign based on your gut feeling. Ask why before making any changes to account. So that is for the data part. The next part is strategic pattern recognition. Identify seasonal trends before they impact performance. Recognize keywords expansion opportunities. Spot listing optimization needs. Connect organic ramp improvement to PPC investment decision. All of this is important. What this means is, I'll try to explain step by step. We have so much of time. But what this means is, let's discuss the final point. Connect organic rank improvement to PPC investment. So if your PPC is not bringing in organic rank, you're just wasting money, because let's just say you're running a product or 30% ACoS, and your TACoS is 25%, you're just bringing in a little amount of sales organically. Your PPC should equally bring you organic sales. So for example, your ACoS is 30%, you should bring 50% organic sales with that PPC spend. And what this means is you should have a TACoS of around 15%. I mean, you can do 16%, but ideally it should be around 15%. That is how you make money on individual keyword. If individual SKU, if your TACoS is, if your organic sales are coming in with the PPC spend. Now again, the third part is the continuation of the second part, which is you have to understand that how a PPC works. If your PPC, I mean, if you're, I would be happy to spend money on a keyword which gives me organic sales as well, a 50% organic sales, instead of a keyword which is spending about. So let's discuss two scenarios. I'll ask you a question. So one keyword is at 30% ACoS and is bringing you 50% organic sales. And then now the second keyword is at 25% ACoS, but it's only giving you probably 30% organic sales. Which one would you choose? Now I would choose the first one because I wanted to get organic. You see, organic rank is the ultimate goal of running a PPC. Yes, you tend to target new intents. You tend to go for the products which are for the new discovery campaigns, but the end goal has to be the organic sales. Now this is a really good example. A client ACoS jumps from 25 to 45% in 1 week. A VA would lower the bids. Our approach: export placement report. 78% of the spend was going on to the product pages, not searches. Cross reference with competitor analysis. A competitor launched aggressive product targeting. Analyze conversion data. Product page traffic converted 40% lower than searches. Strategic response: reduce product page bids, increase search bids, maintain overall. So that is how in totality you see a problem in PPC. If you just seeing that a certain campaign has 45% ACoS and you just go in and lower the bid, that is, you're doing the worst service to your client, because that is not how it works. I mean, it can work, but this is just one of the so many metrics that you're just ignoring. Now the next slide is data is everything, and we live by that. So the level 1 is data collection. 50% of the manager miss. Download all the possible reports. If you're learning PPC or if you're into advertising console, download all the possible reports. Search term placement, targeting report, ad group report, keyword report, product report, SQP report, which is very important. Set up systematic collection, weekly downloads, consistent naming convention, just so that you can recognize that. Maintain history, 90+ days minimum for the trend analysis. Cloud platform integration with, you can connect it with the other tools as well. There are few tools, but I would say start it with the manual work, just so you understand, you work in the trenches, then you'll be able to make decisions. Level 2 is data processing, what 80% of the managers manager miss. So you have to see like what is working. It's just really simple. Do not complicate it. See what's working, put that into green. What's not working, put that into the red, and what is in the gray areas which you cannot just decide, go and put that into the yellow. So the yellow is where you learn a lot, because that is when your brain start functioning and you tend to make a decision, because you're not being able to understand the pattern, and that is when you dig deeper. So, and then the third point is data connection. You have to understand, connect the performance with the organic keyword ranking, inventory levels, competitor pricing, review score, and seasonality trends. So once all of this is clubbed together, you're bound to make a good decision. Now this is another example of how it works, but let's just move on to the next slide. Now I'm not here to sell any type of course or anything, but the courses that we get interns from, they do not know the basics of it. So that's why we have an internship program which is for the new PPC managers, and we are very picky about who to choose. So let's just discuss. So online courses teach rules without context, focus on console navigation, not data analysis, no real account experience, no mentorship, and decision making. So decision making is where the money is. If you're not being able to make a decision, and that your decision only lies with increasing or decreasing bid, that's not a decision. You got to make a decision on the basis of totality. So, and this is for the YouTube. I have nothing against to say. I've learned a lot of things from YouTube, The problem is the real world scenarios. If you're on the YouTube and you're watching a video, they will tell you, okay, how to increase or decrease the bids, what to do with the placements. The totality, the picture in totality, you'll only be able to know once you've done the work and once you see the data in totality. So that is why our internship program is a bit different. We do not sell this program or anything. It's just to make sure that you are aligned, you're learning it the right way. No, let's start with the week one, which is week 1 to week 4. The first month, master Excel, Google Sheet, learn extract and organize Amazon reports. We look up pivot tables, no console access at all, pure data analysis in the very first month. And then the second month is analyze real client data under supervision, identify trends, anomalies, and performance findings to the senior managers, and learn to ask the right questions. So the right question is something you got to ask, and the only reason you can ask is if you know you've been backed up by data. And then the third phase is the third month, shadow senior manager during client strategy session, participate in account planning and optimization, begin making supervised recommendation, connect data insights to the business. So that's when you somehow get engaged into real world decisions. And then the fourth was this is the fastest way, by the way, to learn PPC, and we have seen that by doing this, people can manage 7-8 figure accounts in a year if you're really quick with it. And then supervised execution, that's when you start working on the accounts, track the reports, make decisions, and you are held accountable for making those decisions. Yep, and so this is basically a data of the so £45 is the salary. It's just in the UK, and then this is a few more data points. But let's go into the 8 essential reports that you need to understand. You need to make sure you're on top of those. Now, so the first is search volume versus your impression share. You need to make sure that you're getting fair chunk of. That's when you start sort of getting the visibility from the market share. If your search impression is really low, you can get this in the advertising console. But if your search impression is really low as compared to the search volume, you got to push your bids and see like why is it happening. Is it because of just make sure that whenever you're making any decision, make sure that all of the other external factors are on point. Because if none of the external factor is, even one of the external factor is not on point, you will struggle a lot with the PPC. And those external factors are your listing, SEO, A+ content, attribution, and indexation of keywords and all. So there are a few things that you need, and then your buy box, your inventory levels, etc. Now the second part, this is really the I would say the base of the keyword research, the search intent classification. You got to make sure that what are the keywords. So how to use protein powder. So if you use different set of keywords, there are different set of keywords. Some are navigational keywords, some are commercial keywords, some are transactional keywords. So transactional keywords are high intent keywords, so they are tend to buy. So the long tail keywords that you the long tail keyword that you've got, you have to make sure that you utilize that keyword to the best of your understanding, and make sure that if, for example, the search volume of a certain keyword is 500 search volume per month, some PPC managers tend to ignore those keywords. But that is exactly where money is. If you're launching a new product, you have to make sure that you go for the low search volume keyword, unless your client advises you otherwise. So that if the client says, okay, we wanted to spend $50,000 a month, then obviously you got to go for the high search volume keywords. But otherwise, start with the low search volume keywords, high intent keywords, and go and later your way upwards to the high search volume keywords. And then conversion rate by search term length. Usually the high intent keywords, like I said before, the keyword with the high words count in it have the highest search volume. It can be the other way around. All of these, whatever I'm saying is it will not be correct in all the cases. So you have to understand and see what is your case, and how much of this information is relevant to your case. Now the small keywords, 1 or 2 keywords like protein, it is a high search volume keyword, but it has the lowest possible conversion rate, because there are big players into it, and there is a whole lot of people advertising on this keyword. And then this is also a sweet spot. So 3 or 4 keywords have a better intent, better moderate conversion rate. You can target them in the phrase. I mean, if we were to simplify this, target these keywords in broad, these in phrase, and these in exact. These can overlap somehow, but this has to stay like this. Now, there is one other thing. This is really important. What you can do is cluster them together. So segment them based on the product focus. For example, protein, whey, powder, supplement. This is product focus. I mean, you can individually segment each of them into different categories as well. So cluster 1 can be segmented into probably 5 categories. Cluster 2 can be segmented into 5 categories, and 3 can. So if you go that granular, you will get a lot of data, and once you get a lot of data, you'll know where to spend money. So cluster 2 is benefit focused keyword. Cluster 3 is basically cheap, discounted, best price, so price focused keyword. And then, I mean, you can have more clusters as well. So this is product focus, this is benefit focus, this is price focus. Some cluster could be for the buyer focus. So, and some could be gender focused. I mean, you can make as many as you can, but I mean, you should have at least 3-4 clusters just so that you know what's working. And this is how you recognize the seasonal patterns and see what keyword is doing. So the reason why this is important is because if your search volume goes down, you cannot do much about PPC. What happens is the search volume is going down organically for the whole category. It's not for you, it's for 5,000 other sellers as well. So if search volume is going down, you cannot do increasing the bids won't give you higher traffic. It's just the whole niche search volume is going down. So you got to understand that. That is why I always say this: before making changes into advertising console, make sure everything is intact outside of advertising console, and that includes your reporting, your search volumes, your pricing, your competitors, your SEO, your graphics, your A+ content, and whatnot. Every other thing has to be checked before making changes into the PPC. Now, this is an example. So, for example, you're advertising protein powder, and then the initial performance is 25% ACoS, 180 clicks, 12 conversion, and this is system analysis. 67% of the clicks came from the cheap protein powder, which is 2.1% conversion rate. 23% came from organic protein powder, 18% conversion rate, and 10% came from protein powder for women. That is 31% conversion. So what this means is, you're like I said, gender. So if you segment this in the form of gender, you are getting sales on the women intent, and that is what you need to understand. Like all of the different intents, if you're categorizing them correctly and you're accumulating the data correctly, you will see a lot of improvements in your advertising. So this is really important. Now, this is really basic. Top of the search, everybody wants to be on the top of the search, and then product pages, and then rest of the searches. So product pages normally gets the highest amount of traffic. Top of the search gets the highest amount of conversion rate. Rest of the search lies in between these two placements. So now, is there any rule of thumb for where do I advertise? See, everybody wants to be on top of the search, but it really depends what are your goals. If your goal is to rank very quickly, top of the search is the go-to placement, because you get the highest amount of conversion rate, and then if you're getting highest possible conversion rate, you tend to prove your relevancy to Amazon, and once you do that, Amazon gives you ranking. Product pages is to get the highest possible traffic. You do not care about the ranking fast. You're just here to get the cheapest traffic, and probably you wanted to get more eyeballs. That's your go-to place. Rest of the search is in between that. If you something is working for you for rest of the search, do that. If it's not working, try that. It's all about testing. Now, anything that I say in this video, pick the one. So if your product is going well on product pages, just because I'm saying top of the search is good for ranking, do not ultimately switch that to top of the search right away. It will be a disaster. And same goes for all the other things. If something is working for you, stick with that. What you can do from this video is you can test whatever I'm saying. You can test it for the new campaigns, for the new products, and see what they perform. And if you were to make a move, do it very slowly. Now let's discuss a bit about. I mean, this is way too common, but exact matches, phrase, and broad matches. You got to allocate some budget. I mean, most of your budget to this is where your money is. Exact matches have highest possible conversion rate normally, if you're targeting the right keywords. Phrase matches is moderate conversion rate. Broad matches have the lowest conversion rate in most of the cases. And there are, I mean, variables to these as well. So lowest impression volume, good impression volume, highest impression volume, most predictable performance. This is absolutely correct. Discover new keywords variation, most keyword discovery potential. And I mean, they do perform in different scenarios. I'll discuss a bit more detail into these. And essential for profitable keywords, balances control and discovery, require heavy negative keyword management. And you can do preemptive negative targets. So for example, there is this thing, if you're running a broad match campaign and you are not sure that will this bleed, so you can do all the negative targets in this broad match campaign before you start getting impressions. So everything that will be irrelevant will go into the negative targeting of those. So this is not a rule of thumb, but just to give you an idea, 20% of the budget has to go in broad matches, 30% into phrase, and 50% into exact matches. And this can change largely. I mean, they 50% can exact. It can go up and down. Um, Now, the next report of the 8 essential reports is targeting report. You have to make sure that where your money is going into, not the search term report, but the targeting report. And you have to sort of understand the cannibalization concept as well. You need to check whether or not your targets are cannibalized. You don't want to target the same keyword twice just to compete with each other and increase your CPC. So this is very important. And now the next report is the SKU level data, the microscopic view. So revenue per SKU, track 30, 60, 90-day trend. Identify seasonal trends of each SKU, compare to the inventory investment. And I mean, ACoS by SKU, and then mature product should be optimized for profit. So you have to create funnel within the SKU level as well. What that means is you have to understand like new SKU will be bleeding money in the start. Old SKUs should be profitable, and then the SKUs that are not too old, not too new, they will somehow be in less profits. So that is something you need to do. And then conversion rate. So if someone is converting really well for you, you got to put more money into those campaign. And it's sometimes happen that seller says, okay, this is not my main SKU, but this one is my main SKU. But when you look at the data, his if an SKU number 27 is priority number 27 and is giving us 25% conversion rate when the account conversion rate is only 11%, you definitely, it's a no-brainer. You got to spend more money on that SKU. But that is something you need to tell the seller, okay, this is where we need to spend money. Okay, so this is a little example here. So you got, let's just suppose you've got 12 products and each of them has been allocated a certain amount of budget. And now SKU1 is doing 31% ACoS, 18% conversion, and £2,800 in sales. SKU2 is 67% ACoS, 6.2 conversion rate, and £892 in revenue. And SKU3 is 19% ACoS, 28% conversion rate, £41,000 in revenue. So same total ad spend, 47% more revenue, 23% better overall ACoS for the SKU number 7. And that is why it's important to segment the data on the basis of SKU. Now let's discuss a bit more on the product parent and intent level analysis. Product level data category intelligence, we've just discussed that. And then parent level, why parent level analysis. So again, the SKU level I've just discussed, but you have to, again, there is another report. But trust me, if you make these reports and if you feel like this is not a mess, this is a system, you tend to do a lot better. So SKU parent level data, when you make that, you tend to see like what is the performance on the parent level and what are the gaps. So for example, in the parent level SKU, some variation can do well, some cannot do well. So you have to understand the inventory levels and align with that. So it does not have to be always that if something is performing really good, you keep spending money. You have to understand you've only got, let's just say, 5,000 units of a certain product, and then you have got another product who's got 15,000 units. You just cannot keep spending money on the 5,000 unit product, because you still have to sell a lot more than that for the variation, which is not really profitable. So that is something you have to align with your seller central inventory reports and see what can you do to push the SKU which is not reaping you money, because you will start paying in storage fees, and that will eventually be equal to your PPC that you have to do on that one. And then, so this is the next intent level analysis, the psychology of search terms. So there are people who are problem aware, then there are solution aware, then there are product aware, then there are purchase ready. So I'll give you an example. So here, if you have so if you have back pain and you want to do something for that, you just, there will be people will say medicine for tablets for back pain or gel for back pain, and then there are solution aware, pain relief for back pain, etc. And then there are product aware. So if your product is very famous, they will just type in the product, and that is basically comes into your branding. And then there are purchase ready as well. So you got to understand which keyword, because you will have, let's just say 100 keywords of a certain category. The more segmentation you do for those keywords, it will be better for you to optimize your campaigns. If you're just putting keywords and not seeing back and forth and not putting them into the categories, you will struggle a bit more on the PPC, and you will be like, this keyword, this keyword is super relevant, why is this not performing? I understand that, but you cannot make a keyword perform until you've done all the other things right. And again, if something is something you think will perform is not performing, move on. And if something you think will not perform is performing, double down on that. Now the other important thing is negative targeting. So we will quickly go through that. So this one phrase will tell you, instead of asking what keyword should I negative, ask why irrelevant keywords getting the clicks. I want you to read this again. What keyword should I negative? Do not ask this question. Ask why are irrelevant keywords getting the clicks. Now, why the irrelevant keywords are getting, they should not get the clicks in the very first place. Why are they getting the clicks? It's because either your SEO is not right, you're putting some bunch of keywords which are generic, and that is why when you're running automatic campaigns, the PPC takes the data from your SEO and tries to connect it with the relevant keywords that algorithm thinks it might be relevant to you. So if you're putting a generic keyword, if you're putting let's just say if you're selling protein powder, and you're putting some random keyword which might be relevant to your product, but if that keyword is looked upon in isolation, it's not that relevant. Now, what is the solution of this? You do not want to have irrelevant keywords into your listing at all. Just eradicate that. Just remove everything which seems irrelevant or which might indicate Amazon algorithm that this can lead to certain clicks which cost you money. And at the same time, when you're doing the launching the campaigns, try to sort of rank first and then go broader. If you're going broad with the initially, when you do not have the ranking, there are good chances that you will rank on semi-relevant, irrelevant, or maybe totally out of your category keywords, and that is when you get a lot of clicks, and that's when you have to do the negative targeting. The first step has to be, try to not have the clicks on those keywords at all. But if you do, then there are mayors, and these are obvious ones. Now there are a few instructions on how to do the targeting, negative targeting of the keywords. Okay, I'll tell you a story. When I was learning PPC, I was trying to find out the strategies as to what will work on these accounts, but I was so naive at that point. I didn't know that there are no strategies in Amazon PPC. There are only understanding of data and finding the solutions, and sort of laying down a framework that you could do for a 3-6 months period, and then rank your products on those keywords. That is that. There's nothing. If someone tells you that, okay, I've got this strategy, implement on this implement this on your account and it will start flying. This is not going to happen. Now there are few examples. What courses teaches always target for 25% ACoS. So I've seen that there are few reports that says, okay, you put the ACoS 30% and it will give you keywords that these keywords will. I mean, this is so bad that how can you put 30% ACoS and it will start giving you keywords that will give you at least 30, at max 30%. That's not gonna happen. So always target 25%. This is incorrect. Skincare products might be profitable at 45% ACoS as well, and there are a whole lot of categories that are profitable at 45% ACoS. Start with £5 budget. This is wrong because you £5 is like, what do you get in 5 clicks? If your conversion rate in the category is 10%, you do not get a click on that. So you got to give more budget. Use the exact bids amount. This is also not correct. You can start with lower, you can start with a bit higher. It really varies. So there are few reality. Electronics might need 15% ACoS to be viable. Seasonal products require different approaches than evergreen. New launches need different strategies than established. 100% correct. If you're trying to be a PPC manager and you're working on a new launch, you will feel like this is the worst job that I'm doing, because new products needs a lot of time. And if you're starting a career in PPC and you got a product which has got like 10,000 reviews on it, and you will feel like, okay, this is great, I'm loving it, I'm the expert of PPC. The reason for that is because the new product you tend to learn a lot. With the established products you have to be more strategic rather than sort of trying new things. Now I want you to read this one. The rules without context is a problem. Course rule or any, I'm not against school or anything, but there are rules in the tools as well. So if ACoS is over 30%, lower bids by 20%, this is absolutely incorrect. You just do not want to do that. Real world context missing. So what if 30% ACoS is generating valuable organic rank? What would you still do that? No. What if competitor launch aggressive campaign increasing CPCs? What if seasonals peak and higher ACoS is normal? What if the product has 60% margin and can afford 40%? This is this gives you a context about what you should be doing. So your rules should be yours. Your rules cannot come from something which is not even relevant to your product. Now there is one more thing I want to understand is, whenever you are managing a PPC, and if you've been told like your TACoS is, your account TACoS has been, for if a seller comes to you and says, see, my account TACoS is 25% and I want you to get to 12% in next 2 months, I would say no. I would say I can't do that. I won't be able to do that because that's realistic. That's not even possible. I mean, it can be, but you look at the expectations. These are so unreal expectations. You got to set realistic expectations, and then there are a few more examples. What's missing? So client pressure during performance drop. So if the performance goes down, the most amount of time I've seen that when the performance goes down, you see a message from the client and you're all over the place. You start optimizing bids, you start making changes, and it worsens the situation as well. You got to stay consistent, you got to stay calm. Whatever you wanted to make changes will get you results. So the way PPC works is, if you're making changes to Amazon PPC to improve the performance, you will get an improvement in performance in weeks, not in days. And if you were to destroy a campaign, just make the panic changes into your account and it will start bleeding money from in a couple of days. That is how it works. I mean, I think it's the same in crypto as well. You make slower gains and then you fall down very quickly, and that is the same thing as well. So understand the situation and be calm with what you're doing, and try to say no. Try to say, like, if something is unrealistic, just start saying no, because you're doing a service to your client. Because if you're telling him that I can get you to 12% ACoS from 25% in 2 months, and he's never been to 20% ACoS in whole his in past 2 years or in 1 year, then you're doing a disservice to yourself, you're doing disservice to your client, unless you feel like, okay, this is possible, his account has been he's been managing, he's been bidding for 5 CPC while the CPC should be $1. Unless if that's the situation, and unless you feel confident, only go for it, only accept that okay, we'll get there. But otherwise, be transparent, be open about it, try to communicate that you do not want to set unrealistic expectation, because it will only do two things. One, if you do not perform, you will go out of job. Second, you'll break your confidence as well, and you'll start blaming yourself. Okay, this might be possible, but since I could not do it, I'm not qualified enough, I'm not skilled enough, etc. So try to understand the context and give realistic expectation to your client. Okay, now this is a bit about our agency. Real account complexity we handle with patience. We give the realistic targets. If something is unrealistic, we speak up, we tell them, okay, this is if when there is a panic optimization, nobody's gonna be useful after that. And then you got to, like, I've discussed this in detail, so let's move on to the next thing. So this is about how we may manage accounts and stuff. Okay, now this is a bit about the courses and then outcomes. Okay, this is a case study of an account that we managed to grow from 50k to 500k. And this is another case study of an account from 400k to 600k. I'm not gonna go into the details of it, but you can see that what we've done. And then this is another case study of an account that we did 100k in, and we started really low. We started at really low, and then we took them to 6 figures. Now this is again the keyword trend performance system to campaign mapping, competitive analysis. These are all the formulas you can use. This is for the budget allocation and the performing alert system. And then this is basically a sample size problem. You see the keyword changes, bid adjustment, campaign pausing, budget increasing. You can get an indication of this. Obviously, again, I would say make your own templates, make your own rules, because every account is a different account, so you just cannot copy paste the rule. You can if you want to, but I won't recommend that, because it does not have good results. And yeah, the seasonal forecasting is really important. If you're going into Q4 at this moment, you tend to see a lot of traffic, so you need to see what sort of revenue that you can generate. You do not want to double the revenue. You aim for 4x, 3x to 5x revenue. In some categories, you tend to see 7x as well, but I mean 3x is something you should be getting. You should be aiming for in Q4. And keyword life cycle is also a thing which, so some keywords pop up in Q4, some keywords decline in Q4 and some keywords pop up in one. I mean, it really depends based on seasonality, trends, events, and there are a lot of different things that this happens. And then budget allocation modeling, and you have to see like where the money is going in, and how can you squeeze the budget and put it into the useful campaign. And this has to keep changing. You just cannot give a certain amount. I've heard this a lot, that the old campaigns do well. It might be true for few accounts, but it's not a rule of thumb. If something is not working, launch it in a new campaign, and sometimes it starts working. So that's one point. So this is basically a basic rule of thumb for a single product that you're managing. You can utilize all of these and see. I mean, again, this is not a rule of thumb. Obviously, you have to make your own sheets, but this gives you a good understanding as to what you should be doing on day-to-day basis in order to make your product a success. I strongly believe you can use these tools for free. You can use these professional tools for, but I strongly believe we do not use rule-based bidding or AI automation for. I mean, the AI is growing too fast. Maybe I have to delete this part of the video after a year, but at this point I stand by. I We do not use AI automation because maybe in a year or so maybe we have some tools, but the rule based bidding, absolutely not. It's for the companies who have got bigger hundreds of accounts and they wanted to sort of make sure that everybody is getting fair share of their time. So that's when rule based bidding comes into play. Otherwise it has to be done manually. It has to be done on the basis of various reports. If you can see the data from bird's eye view in a single report, in a single screen, you can make a decision. Then you go for rule based bidding. If not, then you have to go back and forth and find out the data and make the call on the basis of that. No, there are a few things which we have discussed before. Now, the your pay way forward 90-day plan. If you wanted to be a PPC, good PPC manager, this is what you can do. Start with building the foundation. I've discussed this, and strategic thinking development, advanced implementation, and then after 3 months, you will be able to understand. If you cannot give 3 months to Amazon PPC and you wanted to be an expert of it, it will take years for you to understand. And this is exactly why you have to be very strategic about the systems, about the reporting in special, and then measure your progress. So one thing I've noticed is when I was learning PPC, I noticed is that if you're making changes, you have to have a record for that. If you if you're not going back and seeing what those changes have impacted, how those changes have impacted your PPC, you won't be able to learn that. You will just keep making changes and changes and changes. The accountability has to be in there. So whatever you're making, whatever decision you're making, you have to have a system where you can go back and check and see what were the impact of those, and that is how you keep learning. So this is the a basic diagram. So if you keep doing that, eventually this is how much you will start earning per hour, and then you will be able to position yourself above the competition. Um, Now this is your goal for today, for the next 30 days, and then for the next 90 days. I will be able to create a part 2 if there is enough demand. And if you wanted me to do a part 2, please leave a comment, give a like and a thumbs up, and subscribe. I hope to see you in the second part. Thank you so much for watching the video.